Clarity Clinical Solutions.
Imagine you are a patient in a clinical trial for a new cancer treatment. Every 3 months, you visit the clinic, where a nurse asks how you have been feeling. Can you accurately remember your pain levels, fatigue, and mood over the past 90 days? Probably not. This is the fundamental limitation of traditional clinical trial data collection. It relies on brief, episodic snapshots. But what if instead, you could tell researchers exactly how you feel every single day, from the comfort of your home, using an app on your smartphone? That is the promise of electronic patient-reported outcomes, (EPRO), and it is transforming how clinical trials capture the patient's voice. Electronic patient-reported outcomes, or EPRO, refers to the use of digital devices, smartphones, tablets, or computers, to collect information directly from patients about their health condition, symptoms, and quality of life. There are 3 main types. First, validated questionnaires like the EQ-5D or SF-36, which measure overall health and quality of life. Second, daily symptom diaries where patients record pain, fatigue, nausea, or other symptoms in real time. And third, event-driven diaries where patients report when something specific happens, like a migraine, a seizure, or an asthma attack. All of these are delivered electronically, with timestamps, automatic data transfer, and built-in quality checks that paper diaries cannot provide. The difference between paper diaries and EPRO is night and day. With paper diaries, compliance rates are only 30 to 60%, patients forget to fill them out, or worse, they backfill multiple days from memory right before their clinic appointment. This introduces massive recall bias. Studies have shown that when paper diaries are secretly fitted with electronic timestamps, the true completion rate is far lower than what patients claim. With EPRO, compliance jumps to 80 to 95%. Push notifications remind patients to complete their diary. Each entry is time-stamped, exactly when it was made. Scores are calculated automatically, and the data flows directly into the study database. No manual entry, no backfilling, no lost diaries. The adoption of EPRO has been remarkable. Over 70% of new clinical trials now use some form of EPRO data collection. Compliance rates average 80 to 95%, compared to 30 to 60% for paper. More than 90 drugs have been approved by the FDA using EPRO data as the primary endpoint for labeling claims. And about 85% of patients who have used both prefer EPRO over paper diaries. The FDA has been actively encouraging EPRO adoption. Its 2009 Pro Guidance and 2023 Digital Health Technology Update provide clear regulatory pathways. In many therapeutic areas, sponsors must now justify why they are not using EPRO. There are several types of EPRO instruments, each suited for different research questions. Daily symptom diaries are the most common, short, 2 to 5 minute questionnaires where patients rate key symptoms like pain on a 0 to 10 scale, fatigue, nausea, and sleep quality. These capture the daily burden of treatment side effects in rich detail. Quality of life instruments like the EQ-5D5L assess 5 dimensions of health, mobility, self-care, usual activities, pain, and anxiety. The SF-36 measures 8 health concepts including physical functioning and mental health. And event-driven diaries have patients report when specific events occur, like a migraine onset, capturing the frequency and severity of episodic conditions that might be missed by scheduled questionnaires. The FDA's 2009 Guidance on Patient-Reported Outcomes was a landmark document. It formally recognized that the patient's own report of their health status could serve as a valid endpoint for drug approval. The guidance defined what is required: content validity, does the instrument measure what it claims to measure? Reliability, does it produce consistent results? And ability to detect change, can it capture meaningful differences in the patient's condition? In 2023, the FDA updated this with specific guidance on digital health technologies. This covered electronic equivalence, proving that an electronic version of a questionnaire performs the same as the paper original, and 21 CFR Part 11 compliance for electronic records and signatures. These guidelines have given sponsors a clear regulatory path for epro adoption. One of the key decisions in any epro study is whether patients use their own smartphones or receive a provisioned device. Bring your own device, or BYOD, is simpler and less expensive. Patients use their own phones, which they are already familiar with. Completion rates are high because people always carry their phones. But you lose control over the user experience. Different screen sizes, operating systems, and font renderings can affect how questionnaires appear. Provision tablets cost more, $200 to $800 per device plus shipping and retrieval, but they guarantee every patient sees exactly the same interface. This is especially important for elderly populations who may not own smartphones, or for registration trials where data consistency is paramount. For epro to work smoothly, it must integrate with the clinical trials data infrastructure. The epro platform sends data to the electronic data capture system. Platforms like Metadata Rave or Oracle inform either in real time or through scheduled batch uploads. This eliminates manual data entry entirely. Integration with the clinical trial management system gives site staff visibility into patient compliance. They can see who has not completed their diary and reach out. And increasingly, epro data is being integrated with electronic health records, allowing researchers to correlate what patients report subjectively with clinical measurements and lab values. Perhaps most importantly, epro enables real-time safety alerting. If a patient reports severe pain or suicidal thoughts, the study team is notified immediately. The benefits of epro over paper diaries are clear and well documented. First, better data quality, time-stamped entries that cannot be backfilled, automated skip logic that prevents invalid responses, and a complete audit trail for regulatory inspection. Second, a more patient-centric experience. Patients complete diaries from home at their convenience, and their voice is captured directly without being filtered through a clinician's interpretation. And third, significant cost and time savings, eliminating manual data entry, reducing queries for missing data, and enabling faster database lock. Sponsors typically see a 30 to 50% reduction in data management costs when switching from paper to electronic collection. Despite its benefits, epro comes with real challenges. On the patient side, the digital divide means that older, lower income, or less educated patients may not own a smartphone or have the digital literacy to use an app reliably. Linguistic and cultural validation is essential. Every questionnaire must be carefully translated and validated for each language and culture where the study runs, which is expensive and time-consuming. Survey fatigue is real. If questionnaires are too long or too frequent, compliance drops. On the operational side, selecting the right epro vendor from dozens of options requires careful evaluation. And if epro data is the primary endpoint for a registration trial, any data quality issues can jeopardize the entire study. The stakes are high. The compliance data for epro is compelling. Across multiple therapeutic areas, epro consistently achieves 80 to 95% completion rates. The key factors are push notifications, short questionnaires of 2 to 5 minutes, user-friendly design, and making the questions feel personally relevant to the patient. Timing matters. Morning completion rates are highest, around 90%, while weekend compliance drops by 10 to 15%. Multiple studies have directly compared epro to paper using hidden electronic timestamps in supposedly paper diaries. The result is striking. Patients claimed 90% plus completion of paper diaries, but the hidden timestamps showed actual compliance of only 30 to 60%. epro gives us the true picture for the first time. epro has been successfully adapted for special populations. In pediatric trials, gamified interfaces with avatars, animations, and rewards make diary completion fun rather than burdensome. Children respond to smiley face scales instead of numeric ratings. For geriatric populations, large fonts of 18 points or higher, high contrast colors, and simple one-question per screen design make epro accessible. Provision tablets can be pre-configured for simplicity. In oncology, epro has been truly transformative. Patients undergoing chemotherapy often feel too ill for frequent clinic visits. Daily epro symptom monitoring using the NCI's Pro version of the Common Terminology Criteria for Adverse Events enables early detection of treatment toxicity. Multiple oncology drugs have been approved with epro as the primary endpoint, showing improved quality of life. Looking ahead, 3 developments are particularly exciting. First, AI adaptive questionnaires using computerized adaptive testing. The algorithm selects each question based on your previous answer, so you answer fewer questions but get more precise measurement. Second, voice-based epro. Instead of tapping on a screen, you speak your responses. Natural language processing can capture richer data than fixed response scales, and voice tone analysis might even detect depression or distress. And third, the fusion of active epro with passive sensor data, combining what the patient consciously reports with what their wearable device continuously measures. Does a patient say they are sleeping well, while their smartwatch shows disrupted sleep? That discrepancy itself is valuable clinical information. So here is the bottom line. For decades, clinical trials treated patients as subjects who were measured, examined, and observed, but rarely asked how they actually felt. Electronic patient-reported outcomes change that fundamental dynamic. They capture the patient's daily experience as validated, regulatory-accepted data that can serve as a primary endpoint for drug approval. In doing so, epro transforms patients from passive subjects of research into active partners who contribute their own perspective to the scientific evidence. This is not just a technological change. It is a philosophical one, recognizing that the patient's voice is not a nice-to-have addition to clinical research, but an essential source of evidence that no lab test or imaging scan can replace.